another episode of the Andrew Parker Show, where we talk politics, Israel, and the law. We are live. Yes, indeed. We're live for the show today. Glad you tune in. We've got to talk about some things that, are staring us right in the face. You remember when you were middle school, maybe elementary school, and somebody would dare you to do something, and there was no way you were doing it. There was no way. It just ran against every fiber in your body, and you were not going to do it, and they kept bugging you. Why? Come on. And ultimately you'd say, because it's against my religion. And that was the end of the discussion. Well, that used to be the way it was. But that has popped up again. And I wonder whether Donald Trump understands it. In order to enter any sort of capitulation to the West or to the United States, certainly, the great Satan, it would be against the Iranians' religion, at least their view of it. It would be against all teachings. In fact, they are instructed to lie in order to avoid such capitulation or destruction. Now, Donald Trump says he understands that, but does he really? Because the alternative, and it may well be the only alternative, is the destruction of the regime, of the regime's military force. Why? Because it's against their religion, at least their view of it. So there is going to be no peace. There is going to be no real peace until the Iranian mullahs, until the nihilists, until those who believe in really one way, and that is the destruction of the West, and will always believe in that and only that. That is why they exist and are here, is to deal with the infidels. And when I say deal, I don't mean peace deal with the infidels, because that is not going to be the case. There will be no capitulation. And even if they come to us saying, okay, now we're ready to, it isn't going to happen. Now, is there a way to sign a deal of unconditional surrender? Maybe with certain elements. But they're in it for the long game. It is not something that they look at even during their lifetime as being able to achieve. They will delay, negotiate when needed, drop bombs when needed, but never change their nihilist death cult ideology, their genocidal hate, their radical Islamist views. They aren't going to change. And they do not allow a capitulation of a peace deal. They may allow them to sign a peace deal with no intention of ever following through on it. And I believe at this point, with Donald Trump having 3 years left, that they can wait out 3 years. Heck, they did a deal with Obama where it said 10 years and then they get the bomb. Brilliant, Obama. Iran deal. Brilliant for them. It was a glide path to a nuclear weapon had it not been torn up. But that just shows these deals, they mean little or nothing. Well, Parker, you can't destroy an ideology. Well, what if we said that during World War II? Because we all but destroyed an ideology. Yeah, you're right. We didn't fully. I mean, there are Nazis still in this world, and we're seeing them of late on the right. Don't ignore it. We're seeing them of late. Now, Republicans generally know them when they see them. They generally root them out. And I'm going to talk on another episode about the big tent theory and how the Republicans are dealing with it, how the Democrats are dealing with it, and what concerns we ought to have. But can you destroy an ideology? Well, the denazification of Western Europe was massive and it was difficult, but in large part, it was achieved. Not entirely, and we may see it again, but the smoldering ashes were put out in large part. And so for the Iranian people, ultimately, the Iranian people have to take over and, through their own choice, determine who they want to lead them, how and what the process, what the structure of their government is going to be. They need to decide that. But it should not be these radical Islamists, the mullahs, or the IRGC, holding everyone in fear of what the next day has in store for them. So whether Donald Trump ultimately decides to put boots on the ground to go in and to destroy, it may be economic destruction or it may be physical military destruction. But one or the other, this is not going to happen through the signing of a piece of paper and expecting the regime, the Islamists, the radicals, to abide by it, or even to get past a few years, because they know they can wait out democracy. Democracy will deliver to them a Barack Obama, who is a fool in the manner that he dealt with the Iranians, who allowed October 7th to happen. And all of those who voted for the Iran deal caused it. It emboldened and cemented in place the regime, and they knew it. It gave them billions, some of which they gave over to Hamas. And October 7th happened. They were planning it for years. And they're still planning October 7th-like events. No, we are closer now than ever. And the point is, we need to finish the job. The Iranian people demand it, even if it means bombing in areas close to them. They have demanded it. They have wanted it. But more than that, the entire Middle East, virtually all the countries there have wanted it. Who doesn't want it? The left in this country and Europe. Once again, on the wrong side of history, embarrassingly so. Remember, It's against my religion. That's different than doing a deal with Mikhail Gorbachev, the end of the Soviet Union. It's even different than doing a deal with Anwar Sadat or with King Hussein of Jordan. These pan-nationalists who, like the geopolitical leaders of countries that are certainly despotic or tyrannical in many ways, it is not religious zealotry, which is a whole different level. Much closer to the kamikazes of Japan during World War II in their fanaticism. And that's what it is, fanatical twisting of Islam. And so they will not sign a peace deal that holds for 40 years like Anwar Sadat and the country of Egypt did and has held. Listen, it's not a warm relationship for sure, but when the Muslim Brotherhood tried to take over, that was destroyed, put down, and they were removed. One of the things they would have done was to rip up that peace treaty with Israel. Well, Egypt has not done that. Jordan has not done that. The other countries now in the Abraham Accords have not only not done it, but they've gone the other direction in establishing real peace deals, real economic exchange, flights going back and forth between the countries. That will never happen with the fanatical, radical Islamists of Iran. The ending of the Cold War would never have happened but for the fact that Gorbachev was a rational geopolitical thinker, albeit evil, just like Putin is evil. You can achieve capitulation if that is the only angle they can play. That is not the case with the fanatical Islamist regime. So what do we do? Well, hopefully Donald Trump understands this, but he's only going to be there for 3 years more. And both those on the right and the left who may well become president of the United States have shown no indication that they understand it. They think it's just another problem or issue for the United States State Department to handle. We can negotiate our way out of anything. It's ridiculous. It's outrageous. It's embarrassingly foolish. The world ultimately, Europe and the left in this country, and more than that, Canada, Australia, the West, they don't want the war. They don't want to fight. And so they claim there isn't one. Yes, there is. The other side has waged it, and they're fighting it every single day. And when the West puts out those thoughts, it strengthens Iran. It strengthens their belief that they can actually win this thing. If they stay alive long enough, they can do what their twisted mind believes Allah intended for them to do, which is the total destruction of the West, which is in the enslavement, effectively, of women, just throwing gay people off the top of roofs. But it empowers them. That's what it does. When The Guardian writes its bull on the front pages, it emboldens them. The BBC does their ridiculous, foolish, ignorant, and blatant false reporting. It emboldens them. not to mention the New York Times, the LA Times, the legacy media here in the United States, which is no less aiding and abetting the enemy. Yes, all Iran needs to do is to stay alive until Trump is gone. And Trump, it appears, is going to let them do that. When I say Iran, I'm not talking about the Iranian people. I'm talking about the regime. I'm talking about the IRGC that controls the country effectively today. This was the military arm of the Iranian regime headed by Soleimani until he was killed. The worst of the worst. Now they say the guy who's heading it up is worse than him. So, unfortunately, we have many on our side who are aiding and abetting the enemy quite clearly and horrifically, causing more to die, extending this war, partially in the name of destroying Donald Trump, the person that they hate so. But it puts our soldiers in harm's way. It's really despicable that there is dispute or disagreement at a time of war. And I don't know that Donald Trump is going to be able to do what I think ultimately he knows is probably the right thing to do, but I think he may compromise and do some middle ground, which means a loss. It means yet again the United States doesn't do what it takes to win. And when I say win, it's not about, oh, look at me, we won, or look at us, we won. Cheering and all, but it is all about destroying this scourge on the planet, this hatred, this wickedness, this evil nature that would carry out on October 7th, but worse than that, calls for global domination, hegemony over the entire region to begin with. Half measures are not going to defeat this. Having them at their knees and destroying all of their nuclear and ballistic capability, frankly, won't even defeat this. Because while it may not be now or during Donald Trump's time, they may come asking for billions more, and a Democratic president may well give it to them. And they'll, in a hidden sort of way, rebuild, because they are not going to change their view of the infidel, of the West, of the United States. It is their makeup. The only thing that will change it is strength. Constant, focused strength that they see gives them no alternative. They don't see that now. Oh, Western Europe is giving them oxygen like it's just lifeblood to them, as well as the Democratic Party here in the United States, government of Canada, Australia, add to it. All these countries deciding not to help during the war. You think that didn't add to it? Of course it did. And it puts our military in harm's way when Iran views as a strength of theirs our allies. Now, we really only have, and this is, well, it just can't be disputed. Final point today. We have one ally who is supportive without question, without limitation, without restriction. And they have shown that. Tucker Carlson asked the question, what has Israel done for us? Oh, how about the intelligence that they have shared and provided to us, which has helped to achieve objectives? How about the military capability, not just backup, but primary capability that Israel has shown and carried out? How about putting their kids, their soldiers, who are kids, teenagers, into their young 20s in harm's way for the mission? The U.S. determined mission. That's what an ally does. Working arm in arm like the military of this country and the history of our military has never known, even during World War II, has never known in such a sharing capacity. Israel, no question, the number one ally in the world to the United States. Way more than, what about Britain? I mean, what are you kidding? France, Britain, Germany, it's ridiculous. Are they on the other side? Sometimes you can't even tell. Canada or Mexico? What? Not at all. Not at all. Australia? Forget it. Even Japan? Forget it. No other country in the world is as strong an ally as Israel. Certainly from a military perspective, but also from a strategic perspective, also from an economic perspective, also just from a zeitgeist perspective and values perspective. For liberals and conservatives. The liberals can't, they can't see it. They choose not to see it. They hate Trump so much that if he's friends with Bibi, then, forget it. Bibi's horrific. And, of course, they beat on Bibi as much as they beat on Trump. Doesn't matter what the policy is. It's absolutely wrong. This is one of the most liberal countries in the world. You'd had a woman prime minister well before the United States ever thought about it. And the United States still doesn't. And what about nationalize? I may not agree with it, but nationalize health care, health insurance. You got that over there. We don't even have it. That's a liberal idea, far left liberal idea. What about gay rights, human rights, equal rights? Far stronger. No, it's not, Parker. You're just... Yeah. Gay rights, they have one of the largest gay pride marches anywhere in the world in Israel. So it's a conservative country. That's why you think they're so great. No. That isn't. In certain respects, because their life depends on it, the existence of the country depends on it, they have to be bullish on their military. They cannot make a mistake. You see what happens when they do. October 7th. They can't afford to make a mistake. So it appears to be a militarized country. And in some respects it is, but only because they want to survive. Jews were almost destroyed during World War II. They aren't going to allow it to happen again. You in Western Europe, the liberals in this country, you may, say, well, it's not going to happen again. If it does, well, it does. We'll try to do what we can, but, if it does happen, we'll be, clutching our pearls and wringing our hands, and we'll feel really bad. We'll feel bad. No, that's not good enough. The Israelis are not going to sit around and wait for that to happen. They will defend themselves, and they will not rely on anyone else to defend them. Well, the United States, I mean, if it weren't for us, yeah, it's a great relationship. That's true. And most U.S. administrations, however, the Democratic Party has run from this now of late, understand the critical nature of the state of Israel for the Jewish people. And will not allow a country to wipe the sovereign of Israel off the map. Simply won't allow it. But if the United States changes its policy or shifts, Israel will be ready to defend itself by itself if necessary. For now, we have one of the strongest leaders in the United States in the Oval Office who has chosen to work hand in hand with the state of Israel for the betterment of the world, to destroy the evil and to bring about all that is good and peace everywhere. Real peace, though. Real peace. Well, thank you once again for joining us on the Andrew Parker Show. Listen, we are now going to be having live broadcasts, which will also be posted following the broadcast. So if you miss, you can catch every episode. Go to the AndrewParkerShow.com. That is all one word. The AndrewParkerShow.com. They love us. It's beautiful. And when you go there, you just need to subscribe, follow, and you can send us your thoughts, your comments. Email us, text us. It's all there for you to take a look at. Until